So a great park that we always like to go for a nice walk or hike is Beamer Memorial Conservation Area. Also used to be known as Beamer Falls. It overlooks the town of Grimsby and Lake Ontario along the Niagara Escarpment. So we're coming from the west, and the nice scenic route to take is Ridge Road, which runs along the top of the escarpment. And just before you get to 40 Mile Creek, there's a road called Quarry Road. There's the address for your devices. So turn left, and I'll explain the parking in a minute. But this is a no exit dead end road. Now there is some private property surrounding this park, so just be respectful. There is designated areas to park just beyond those line of trees for about 15 to 20 cars, and if there's overflow parking, generally along the side of this road, along the grass here. But they are open from dawn to dusk. There is free parking as of the time of this video. The park is named after John Beamer. He was an early settler of the area and landowner. He ran a grist and sawmill along the 40 Mile Creek. He dammed the top of 40 Mile Creek before it cascades over the escarpment, and that was in the late 1700s. So that's the story behind the naming of the park. John Beamer and his wife owned this area and ran that mill. So there you can see the parking lot. This was spring, so there was a bit of wetness and mud on the trails, but not too bad. They do a very good job of maintaining this park, I must say. It's run by the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority. So in the parking lot are a few more signs just kind of detailing what's allowed and what isn't. But just past that is a gate that you can go past and walk down a road that takes you to a open area. So there's a road that kind of loops around. Here you can see a little bit more detailed map, and this is part of the Bruce Trail. So it does, in that red dashed line, is part of the Bruce Trail. So we're going to cover the upper portion of the park and not down in the valley. I'll do that in another video, but this is a nice hike on its own. So yeah, just past the gate, you're going to walk down this little road and it comes to a loop. And then there's a Falcon View Tower, they call it. So the Niagara Peninsula Hawk Watch group, which are birders, and they record sightings daily in the spring, and I believe in the fall as well, but definitely in the spring. So there is restricted access to that tower because they do have to kind of concentrate and do their count and observe. And there you can see I observed the ground and my dog's tail for a little bit, but apparently they've viewed over 22 different types of raptors over the years, so it's quite an amazing area along the escarpment for gathering of raptor type birds and other birds. And this time of year they are actually there every day recording, so you can see a list of everything that's been observed daily for a week, including even bald eagles, which is nice to see. And they also have a chart on how to recognize birds from below. So very interesting. If you're into birding, it's really the place to be this time of year. And just to the right of that area is the trailhead. So there's 3 large signs with some of the history and what to look for and information about the spring hawk migration. Now the main loop is called the Lookout Trail. It's accessible, so people with wheelchairs can use it, and they can go to the main lookout. There is a platform for viewing as well for people that need that access. But the loop that we're going to try first is called the Quarry Loop. So there you can see it upper right, and it takes you to an old abandoned quarry right along the escarpment edge. So that's where we're going to start with. But it does eventually hook up to the main Lookout Trail, and there's the length and how long it takes. So there's the start of the Quarry Trail. We're going to head down there. It's nice this time of year because there's not a lot of vegetation, so you can kind of see through the forest, have a little bit better view of the birds. So I've been here quite a few times. So there's the main Quarry Trail straight ahead, but I'm just going to show you one of the side trails off of that. So Nellie's going to lead the way. The quarry itself is very old, and it's been abandoned for many years, and it's not very deep. It's only really about maybe 15 feet down from the rest of the trail, so it's very easily accessible. The hike is considered, parts of it is considered moderate, but just wear your proper footwear. I mean, after any rainfall, it can get pretty muddy, so just be careful. And as you saw just a little bit ago there, you saw a house to the left. So again, there's private property just skirts the edge of this area. So just be respectful and not too noisy. And but I do encourage you to check out the quarry and walk down into it if there's no standing water. It's a nice little area to explore. And also it's an open area to view some of the birds flying overhead. So with the warmth of the sun, if it's a sunny day and there's an updraft going on, you can see quite a bit of activity in terms of eagles and hawks and other raptor types and falcons. So bring a long lens. I didn't have one this day, just my cell phone, but you know, nice birch trees, nice nature. A few bugs flying around, but they were just non-biting gnat type bugs. But there you see the basin of the old quarry. And just to the left there is the edge of the escarpment, which I'll show you in a minute. But yeah, nice area to explore. Lots of birds to see. There's a few snakes and lots of chipmunks. So Nellie's going to lead the way around the edge of the quarry to the edge of the escarpment. Again, this area can get pretty slippery if there has been rain, so just keep that in mind. And again, just to the left you can see there's a bit of private property, but there is a fence line and signs everywhere. So there you can see Lake Ontario and the part of Grimsby. And a little warning I do have that I want to post, because there has been some accidents of people, you know, trying to get a selfie, and there's been a few falls. So just be careful, stick to the trails, don't go too close to the edge, and just use common sense. You can actually see Toronto on a clear day. This is not one of the better viewing areas. I'll show you a better spot in a minute. But there you can see how close you are to the edge. So just be safe. It's not necessarily a sheer drop off in some areas, but other areas, yes, it's quite a drop, so just be careful. Especially with little kids, and never have your dog off leash. Always be in control. So this kind of runs along the top of the quarry. There you can see the quarry itself. Again, not very deep, maybe 15 feet at the most. But along this ridge, it kind of comes to an end here. With another lookout, but there you can see there's kind of a division, and it kind of there's a bit of a crevice. So I kind of call this, I think it's been called the keyhole in the past, because when from you're down below, you can actually see right through it and get a really good view of the lake and Grimsby. So I'll show you that in a minute, but this is just from the lookout, looking towards Hamilton, Burlington area, Stony Creek, and the Queen Elizabeth Way, and Toronto in the distance. So great spot just if you just want to come and have a look over the area. So we'll continue on around to go back to the other side of the quarry. There's a few signs about private property. And we'll hook back up to the quarry trail, which again skirts the edge of the quarry. And there is signs here and there talking about using it at your own risk. Make sure you do have a working cell phone with you in case you need to use it. I think there's pretty good cell phone coverage. You're right above Grimsby, so my cell phone had no issues. But be sure to have one on hand in case there is some kind of an event. And just to the left here, we saw a little chipmunk take off. So I'm not sure if you can see it. There it goes. So yeah, we're just kind of on the east side of the quarry at this point before we go along the edge of the escarpment. And we're going to have a look at what I call the keyhole, but the little slot in the side of the escarpment that you can see through. So there you can see some people have had a little campfire, but be aware there's a bit of broken glass in that area. So try to steer clear of that. So there you can see quite an interesting view with a little slot in the kind of cut into the limestone where you can see Lake Ontario and Grimsby. There's a bit of standing water this time of year, so just be careful. You don't want to go too close to the edge as well. Just use common sense. But yeah, quite the view, and it makes it interesting when it's framed by the rock like that. And again, on a clear day, you can see Toronto. And lots of sedimentary rock and rock formations to observe. And we're just going to continue along the edge. It's funny, there was one tree that had fallen over. You would think it would topple over the edge, but it was caught by another tree. So well, I think that's coming up. But yeah, lots of moss-covered rock, and a good spot for like micro photography. There's the tree that was trying to fall over the edge, but it got stopped by another tree. But this is my favorite time of year to come here because you know, with lack of vegetation, you can kind of see right through the forest, see what's up ahead. It's a little bit cooler. You don't have as many bugs. So yeah, early to mid-spring is really nice, and the fall is really spectacular because when you're at some of the other lookouts towards where 40 Mile Creek is, you can see the deep gorge and all the colors of all the deciduous trees, you know, turn bright reds and oranges and yellows. So it's quite the spectacular view in the fall as well. Usually around late October is the best time to come for viewing the fall colors. So we just stick around here on the edge, and you can get really good views of Grimsby and Lake Ontario. Now the conservation area is also accessible from down below in Grimsby, off of I believe Gibson Street. So I think the next video I'll probably walk from down below and go up through the 40 Mile Creek ravine and see some nice views of the bottom of the falls. Beamer Falls itself is kind of a combination of a cascade type fall at the top and a plunge type waterfall, I believe, down below. So they say it's sometimes better view from down below, but I'll show you a good view from up above as well coming up, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so just watch your footsteps along here. There are lots of exposed rock and tree roots, so stay away from the edge. And there's a few more platforms for viewing up ahead. They've done a good job of constructing some really sturdy metal platforms for viewing. This is one of the older lookouts, and you can see there's a little bit of a barrier there, so that's probably one of the original lookout barriers, but here's one of the newer ones. And it's raised a few feet up, so it'll give you a little bit better vantage point. And I think it's meant to keep people away from that edge, because yeah, bad things can happen. And there's signs posted everywhere as well. So, and again, they do require you to have your dog on leash at all times. I did see, unfortunately, there was a dog off leash, but I think they frequent the area quite often. But I still believe, you know, you never know what happens, so you want to have your dog on a leash at all times with a good harness. So this is kind of the main lookout, looking towards St. Catharines and Niagara Falls area, and the 40 Mile Creek moraine, they call it, or I guess the gorge. So if you go up this ramp, this is a multi-level lookout, and the bottom part is accessible. But of course, that's not good enough for Nellie. She wants to go all the way up to the top. So she's going to lead the way. And a good spot for a rest and to enjoy the view. The fall is something to see too, and with all the leaves changing color, some great photographs can be made from this point. And I think they really did a good job with the construction of these platforms and lookouts, because the metal itself doesn't have the little sharp teeth that stick up. Sometimes you have that with the walkways that are metal. What they've done is kind of rounded that off so the dog's paws don't get injured, or it's not painful. And speaking of places to have a rest, I believe there's a few benches along the way that I've spotted too, with little plaques to say it was donated by this family for this person or these people. So it's nice to have a couple of spots to sit along the trail, because occasionally it can be a bit of a moderate hike and can be quite tiring. But yeah, lots to see along the edge. It was a beautiful day. And here you can see further along the trail, there's one of the benches I was talking about. But it starts to step down, and right here is where it actually connects to the lower portion of the conservation area. So there's steps, and then it goes kind of to a smooth pathway, and it eventually goes all the way down to the 40 Mile Creek ravine. And then you can also do a hike up to the base of the falls. And right next to the stairs was a little kind of stream that went over the edge. But I'll let you listen to some of the sounds that I recorded coming up here. So then a little further along, there's a spot where it's a bit of an intersection, and the main lookout trail goes back to kind of the parking lot, and you're on your way back. But if you are willing to continue on, there's two options. One is the Beamer Falls side trail, which continues along the edge, and then there's another wider pathway that goes kind of in between two properties, but it's still part of the park, and it takes you right to Ridge Road. And from there you can cross the bridge, which is the dam and the Cascade Falls of the Upper Beamer Falls. So if you find this a little bit wider path, just follow it down and you'll come right to Ridge Road and the bridge. And I do think it offers a little bit better views from the other side of the bridge than staying on the Beamer Falls side trail, because it's a bit of an obstructed view. So give this option a try. Obviously watch for traffic, but they do have a little walking area. So here's the bridge, and on the right hand side is the pond and dam, I guess. But you have the partial cascade there going over the edge. And once you cross the bridge, there's this little pathway and another kind of lookout area. And I believe there's also a little parking lot further down, which I've never been to, but I did read someone said you could park up ahead. There's a little spot to pull over. But anyway, again, watch your footing, especially after a rain here, because it can get quite muddy. And obviously be safe and use some common sense. But if you're looking over the edge here, you can see the upper kind of cascade type waterfall, which is Upper Beamer Falls. And then further down, I believe it plunges a little bit deeper, and you have a better view from down below. But I hope to do that in the next video. In the meantime, we're going to head back into the park here and pass a few signs and just follow this pathway back to the main trail, or the lookout trail is what it's called. And there is markers everywhere, so it's the trails are very well marked and maintained. So we're going to make our way back to the open area with the lookout for the birds. And they do have accessible washrooms here too, and they were unlocked. I just did not go inside to see how clean they were, so I can't comment on that, but quite a large bathroom facility for the size of the park. It's a pretty small park, but it's nice to see that. So thanks for watching. I hope this, if you have never been there before, check it out. It's, again, not too far from Hamilton or St. Catharines, and great views and great bird watching. So thanks everyone for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. Please subscribe, and bye for now.